be talking a little bit about Web3 identity, where we are and where we're going. So today we'll cover kind of the Web3 identity stack so far, the impact of crypto in terms of public key adoption, getting keys into users' hands, developments with account abstraction and wallet infrastructure in general, and ongoing challenges. So if we think about the eras of internet identity, right, everyone here should be kind of familiar with the old days of kind of going into different websites, applications, and creating new usernames and passwords every time. So this is like the centralized era, right? And then in the centralized era, the accounts were managed by applications, giving poor UX, low security, fractured. And then the identity providers like Google, Facebook came in to drastically improve the UX with enabling things like one-click login, bringing your identity everywhere to new applications. And it's semi-portable. Your Google account can pre-populate your data into on a new application with just one click. But this has created centralization, right, where users are not in control of their identity and of their data. So now we're in the era of decentralized identity, where we're using blockchains as verifiable data registries for people's identity information. Here, the identities are managed by users, so it's self-sovereign, it's holistic, it's very user-centric, and these are kind of the technologies that has enabled this and ushered this era in, and what we'll be talking about today. Okay, so when you think about the different layers of the identity stack, right? We have blockchains at the bottom, or off-chain decentralized storage networks as the data registries, where you can issue the DIDs or identifiers. So this can be the W3C DIDs, or on Ethereum, that's your addresses. And then you have the agents or key management infrastructure. So wallets and communication protocols come in this layer, and then you authenticate into different applications using this key infrastructure. So authentication just confirms your identity based on different authentication factors, and then on top of this, you can do access control and authorization, which kind of defines which resources a user should be able to access and what they're allowed to do with those resources. So here, like in terms of technologies that is relevant here, you have the token gates, you have the proof of ownership, NFTs, and so on. And then on top of that, you have the attestations, right? The claims that you're making about a certain identity and different objects or a person or an organization. And this is from a piece that I published last year, kind of like breaking down the different players in the ecosystem at different layers. And this is not comprehensive at all, and some projects have pivoted, new players have entered the space, yeah, but it's just to give an idea of it's a very sort of vibrant ecosystem. So when we think about the impact of crypto, right, where if you're a Web3 user today, you and your wallet, you're kind of like taking your identity and you're owning the keys, and you're plugging them everywhere, right? So this is you and your wallet are just being used to manage your finances, the things that you're creating, your identities, aliases, your governance votes, and crypto has really ushered in new waves of users in terms of for public key adoption. Because wallets have thus far been a prerequisite to participate in this new economy, right? So if you think about the bull wave so far with the ICO boom, DeFi summer, NFT mania, like the new waves of users are coming in each time. And then FTX revelations, amongst the other scandals that have happened in crypto over the past years, is accelerating the push towards self-custody. So yeah, and then lastly, developments in account abstraction, adoption of passkeys are quickly lowering the UX friction that comes with decentralization. So yeah, so it's been the perfect Trojan horse for decentralized identity infrastructure and adoption. an account abstraction, you've probably heard of this term if you've been around DevConnect. It's essentially, enabling programmable security and UX through smart contract wallets. So far, right, like your keys and your assets are kind of being managed in EOAs, which is kind of one and the same thing. And this is what, like, account abstraction essentially splits this into 2 layers, where you can bring your own keys, whether that's your Web2 login, whether that's your passkey on your phones. It could be your EOAs. And this is kind of managed separately than your assets, right? And your assets are stored in smart contract wallets. Passkeys are being experimented on as a signing method. So this is built on top of the WebAuthn standard, aim to enable passwordless auth. And this is, beyond crypto, right? It's a joint effort by the FIDO Alliance. And the potential of this is that it turns most modern devices into a hardware wallet, right? So users can sign up with an application without a wallet, and if they have their phones, they can create like embedded crypto wallets within a dApp right away. The kind of ongoing challenge with this is that the signatures that are produced by passkeys aren't natively recognized by chains like Bitcoin and Ethereum yet. So an on-chain verification is still like unfeasible due to the gas overhead. So right now, dApps that are experimenting with passkey signing are going through services like Lit Turnkey to produce like a normal EOA signature once the user is authenticated with their passkey. So with account abstraction, we've the mental model of how we think about dApps and wallets has kind of shifted a bit. Pre-2019, if you go to a dApp, it tries to detect if you have a browser extension installed. It's kind of like giving unpredictable dApp behavior. And early Web3 modal kind of like helps you, came in as a solution for you to connect any dApp to any wallet. And then from 2019 to now, we have connector libraries, which essentially give out-of-the-box providers for wallets and enable chain switching, connect logic. But again, it still expects users to already have a Web3 wallet, and it redirects them right to install new software, which is still creating a high point of churn for dApps. What we're seeing now are what we're calling onboarding SDKs, which actually allows users to authenticate with anything with things like Apple, with things like email that they're used to, and then creating smart accounts or smart contract wallets or embedded MPC wallets on behalf of the users. So depending on the implementation, this might lead to asset and identity fragmentation across dApps, right? Before we had standalone wallets. Before we had standalone wallets that are installed by the end user, and they connected everywhere, and they kind of port their assets and on-chain identity into applications. But now, this new category, I'd say, of embedded or application-specific wallets are automatically created upon sign-up. So it's not expecting users to come in already with a Web3 account. But again, this is kind of an ongoing area of experiment where to allow users to have this good onboarding UX, but not create a fractured experience across dApps. Again, this is what Martin touched on in his presentation, right? Multi-chain account abstraction is still an unsolved problem. With account abstraction, we're splitting the keys from the assets, and with EOAs, users expect to have the same address across different chains, right? But this is not possible 100% with smart accounts, and we also don't necessarily want this, because when you're rotating keys for one chain, that change doesn't automatically propagate to others, right? So one proposed solution by Vitalik is to have one key store contract that handles the key information on one chain, and then have the different accounts from different chains read from that. And then also this ENS, using ENS as an abstraction layer. So if you think about what Web3 has been really good at delivering on is public financial data portability. You have your one address and different applications. So this is like Zapper, Zerion, Etherscan. Different applications can be built on top just of public blockchain data, right? And it gives users plug-and-play identity or financial data identity across different applications. And then the thing that allowed this is on-chain standards, on-chain state and composable standards on the blockchain, right? Where everyone kind of like reads from the same sort of API to understand what an asset is doing. But much of what makes up our identity is non-financial and off-chain, right? So if you think about contributions, creative work, taste, and this is still what's keeping users sort of not trapped, but kind of staying within the Web 2 paradigm, because we're not able to deliver on these like Web 2-like experiences yet. So this is where the data infrastructure comes in, right? Storage solutions where that's user-owned and controlled, decentralized, permanent storage. I put a star there because sometimes we don't want that, right? Because of things like GDPR and right to be forgotten. So dApps really need to kind of be mindful of where they want to store users' data here. And then composability and portability with data models and schemas and public schemas is what's going to enable the portability there, the same way that ERC20 and ERC21 did for financial assets. And then we have the authorization layer for you to encrypt and decrypt using your keys, and ongoing advances in things like zero-knowledge proofs and combining them with verifiable credentials to allow you to do anti-correlation and selective disclosure. Yeah, so some key takeaways. Yeah, crypto is really driving users towards self-custody here and putting more key pairs in users' hands than ever before. Account abstraction, I think it's the community excitement around AA this year has really accelerated the level of experiments that's going on in the space. But something to be mindful of right now is the implications of creating new wallets and new identities for users per dApp for the UX gain. And then what does this mean for their identity, right? That's fractured across different applications. And yeah, that's pretty much what I had. Thank you.